All right, we're gonna pull this flywheel off here. We've got a puller, and it's got threads on the inside of it, and then this thread's down in there. I put this recoil cup bolt back in here so that when you thread this on, it doesn't damage that. So I use that bolt again, and we'll just take that off. Now when we thread this on here, make sure that it's all the way bottomed out so that it doesn't pull those threads off. And then it'll suck it right off like that. If you don't have a big enough impact, you can actually put pressure on and then take the hammer and just hit one time on here, and a lot of times that'll bounce it right off of there. And you want to take this bolt back out and put it with the recoil cup. You're gonna pull off here. And you've got your one-way gear on the back. You've got a keeper that sits on the crank. That's gonna be right here. You want to make sure that stays with the flywheel, or at least you know where that's at, and you have to make sure that goes back on. This is your one-way idler gear here, so you'll make sure that spins one way, but it doesn't spin the other way. We've got a bearing and a washer here. Now we'll be able to get to that cam chain. Pull that off of here. We'll kind of bunch up in the bottom here. One more guide, and those are held on by 10mm bolts here. Keep those all together. Okay, we've got a sensor here. It's a Phillips head screw on the top. You just got to loosen that to pull that out. Then we'll finish pulling that off. Use a 14mm socket to pull that off. There's your sensor there. I'm going to put this wire back with it so that we know where that came from. And next we'll pull off this output gear assembly on this side. Put a block underneath there. There's a couple Allen bolts. That'll be the 5mm Allen again. And that will allow us to, and then what we'll have to do is pull these 12mm bolts out. And these two were already out because when you pulled that motor, you would have had to, these two here, because you would have had to pull the guard off that guards all of this. And this case won't come off until you take these out back here. So, let's take this this yoke assembly off before we do that. That way we can get to these easier. Take a flathead screwdriver. Find the clip there. Take that clip out, and then take the opposite side one out over here as well. What I like to do is just tap that out. There's your cap there with all your roller bearings in it. Same thing on this side. Punch that out. There's your cap. Now we can just take that yoke off of the motor. 2mm. Okay, now that's how simple it is to take that yoke off. So, and I'll put that back together and sell it as a set, because that is a good assembly there. Now we'll pull this off, so we need 12mm. These two are the only ones that you need to take off to pull this cover off, but we're going to take them all off. We'll just pull out of there, and there's your output assembly there. So pretty simple. There's your filler cap is right here. Here's your drain down here when you have to replace this. these aren't very expensive. New, you're going to spend quite a bit of money. These yokes, this will go up to the front differential, and this is your rear output right here. So there's that. We'll pull this cover off, and you can see your just take a little bit of the pressure off of this. See your transfer gear there, your bevel gear. And then this will just pull out there. These are spacers, so make sure that these are put back in there if you're going back together. And then here's this gear here. Part of the bevel gear, these are actually sold together from Yamaha because they mesh together. You want to make sure that you get those as a set. Now we'll flip, well, let's take this sensor out here up top, and then we will flip this motor over and start pulling the clutches apart. Pull that screw. The speedo gear, the speedo cable will actually come out because this screw was taken out. But you can actually leave that in there though. Pull this clutch cover and get it to a better position. Take that speedo gear out. Alright. That clutch cover, I believe, is ready to come out. That'll kind of break that seal, and then you're able to just lift that off of there. There is your clutch cover, it's off. And we've got your centrifugal clutch here. We've got your clutch basket with your friction plates. You've got your gear shifter here. Your oil pumps down under here. Here's part of that speedo gear. These two gears mesh together. That sits in there. Shifter. All these parts will keep together. Those will go back together. This shift shaft here just pulls straight out. The keeper here, it's a little plate that you bend the tabs up so that that nut doesn't loosen up. And a lot of times, because of the way these are spinning backwards, forth, these nuts can loosen up when there's pressure put on them. So it is crucial to have these little plates here to hold those in place. Sometimes they'll have two tabs. This motor was working just fine, and this nut is even loose. So that's why it's crucial to have those on there. So those are off. Now you can turn this clutch. See on this clutch basket here, there's two grooves on the clutch basket itself. So if you turn those to line up with the clutch, this centrifugal clutch, you can pull this straight up. There we go. See if you pull it, see that groove there lines up with this, so you can lift it up. If it's not in the right place, you can damage this clutch basket. So centrifugal clutch is apart. Now it's time to pull the clutch basket apart. Use a 10mm socket on those. Loosen these up in a star pattern. And a lot of times we'll just do a little bit at a time. That way, I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure on one of the mounting bolts. Okay, take the springs out, set them aside. Same situation on this nut here. You've got a flat plate. Smash the tabs down. Here's 1 1/16". That's regular thread. Okay, now what I do then is put this back together. Tighten these up so that they're snug. If you're going back together with it, don't tighten them up because you'll just have to take them apart again. So that way you can pull the whole clutch assembly off. The basket stays there because there's a washer in here that is got splines on it, and you've got to turn that probably 1/8 of a turn to get that off. Okay, and then once you get it lined up with the splines, You can pull that off, and then this clutch basket will just lift off of there. There's a bushing here, spacer, that'll come off with it that I keep together. Keep that with the clutch basket. All right, we'll do oil pump. This is the countershaft gear, countershaft balancer gear, and then the exit crank to the countershaft balancer. You got the shift assembly, shift star right here, and then we'll split the case.